Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Alter Cop 30 Philippines mini-series. My name is CK,
And I'm Jonas.
and we're really thrilled to have you once again in this mini-series. Now, this is the third episode, third recording essentially of another topic that we're about to have in the next, I don't know, half an hour or so. And we're really thrilled to get this conversation with you as we uncover another story of another human behind this terrific program. And as we go through these conversations, and as we also jumpstart the topic for this episode, I'd like for you, our dear listeners, to think about one thing. And you might have been exposed to a lot of solutions or a lot of um, you know maybe change makers or grassroots innovators in your lifetime, wherever you might be, wherever whichever work you might be involved in, or if you're actively involved in more climate, more environmental solutions and work. And so this is the question that I have for you, and as something that you can also think with yourselves as we go through this conversation, and that is, what if we stop solving problems in isolation and start weaving solutions together? Our guests for today discovered this truth while working on mangrove restoration in eastern Visayas. She realized that planting trees wasn't enough. Communities needed income, students needed engagement, and coastlines needed protection. And none of these needs ever existed separately. So she built a multi species mangrove nursery that functions as more than just restoration. It's a livelihood program for locals, in an education platform for students, and a CSR opportunity for organizations. But at its core, it's a coastal green belt protecting vulnerable shorelines. This strategic thinking has earned her the Philippine Resilience Award and international recognition. But more importantly, it's proven that environmental restoration and community empowerment aren't separate goals. Today, we're speaking with none other than Thessa Ramos, the founder of the Coalition for Community Resilience, about weaving solutions together. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the show the innovator herself, Ms. Thessa Ramos. Thank you very much, Tessa, for joining us.
Thank you, CK, and thank you, Jonas, for having me here. Salamat sa tanan, maadjong adlaw sa tanan.
Ma- well, I'm a Bisaya myself, so I assume that I understood almost everything. Maayong adlaw sa tanan pod. Thank you for joining us. Daghang salamat for listening. Of course, Jonas, your family is also based in in the Visayan regions. I think a lot of people know that.
Yeah.
For our listeners.
My parents are from the Science and Mindanao area, so may adlaw pod and dag salamat daghang salamat pod kay Tessa for coming in today's episode.
Yeah, very wonderful. And I mean, we're grateful that you're able to carve out time for us, Teza, because I know that you've been actively on the ground working with communities and essentially making things happen right on the ground itself and engaging with a lot of people. So thank you for joining us in our little virtual studio to talk to us in the next 30 to 40 minutes to essentially cover your story about what you do now. And I think I mentioned a bit about that in my intro, which is the mangrove restoration. Now, I'd like to start this conversation with this as we cover first and foremost your challenges when you started this initiative. Can you take us back to the moment that you decided to move beyond traditional tree planting? What made you realize that mangrove restoration needed to be something more than just putting seedlings into the ground?
Okay, for a little bit of context, no background. I've been a native tree advocate since 2016. So I've been planting native trees. I've been doing workshops and all that for a decade already. Um, Only reason, although nag-focus ako on the terrestrial trees. So these are the native trees. Hindi talaga ako gumagamit ng invasive and alien species. I really am an advocate for ecological integrity. Now, of course, we had Yolanda, we had Odette, and we have every year typhoons coming into our region. In fact, we are the most climate vulnerable region in the Philippines. So sabi ko, there has to be a way na to protect the coastal areas. So, yun yung pinaka importante. So, uh, native din naman ang ating mga mangroves, 'di ba? So I have uh, bakit ba walang masyadong nagfo-focus dito? It's because para sa community, they cannot earn anything from it. Parang sometimes ano lang, they were given, in fact, when I went on ground, marami naman talagang gumagawa nito pero hindi lang sila sustain at hindi lang napapalago or nabibigyan ng spotlight, parang ganun ba? So there has to be a way to weave, things. So I have partnered with schools in their NSTP programs, and this is more than just one of tree growing. So why not do it in our coastal areas? Uh, uh, it would be enhancing our coastal diba? Mga mangroves natin. At saka if I would if I can um, tailor and livelihood component into it, mas mabuti kasi madaming ito. And this is women-led ha. So we are not just talking about like uh, livelihood lang. This is really gender empowerment kasi this is women-led na na project. So that's what made me think if what I really wanted is just to build resilience and also enhance our ecological integrity. Why not weave more solutions to it? Livelihood, women empowerment, yung mga ganyan. And then also, I love that you stressed out that it's also a environmental awareness or a platform, learning platform for the students because yun naman talaga siya. So that's it.
Very, very interesting, Tessa. And yeah, I love the point that you mentioned. The ecological, um, uh, I guess, maintaining that ecological balance. Now, you're
Yeah.
considering that you mentioned you went with native trees, native species, which kind of got me thinking. What would how would the nursery be, and how would it look like, and get got me to this question. When you were setting up your multi-species nursery, what were the biggest challenges that you faced, in telling people, even though hindi siya same species, it's definitely iba-iba din yung treatment, I guess, of each species, no, when you're going to grow it up when in the nursery. Pero, how did you manage to get them thinking that it's really worth the extra effort and the extra, time and resources to go through it?
Okay. Dalawa ito. This is from my partner community na sila yung magtatanim, sila yung magko-collect and really establish the nursery. And yung sa partner na sila yung bibili and magsusponsor to plant it. So my first challenges would be to convince the community na meron silang makukuha dito. They can get really income from it na nababayaran naman yung effort nila. Um, ang second component, yung mga student, they have been my partner for years eh. So but we were just so I have set that connection with them and they have trusted me over the years that I have done workshops with them, like more than you can count with your hands. Like talaga every whatever environmental awareness or topic that they want, I have been their partner for years. So it was not hard to convince them. Although I would have to say, dalawa kasi, um, a most of the mangrove planting or propagation na ginagawa kayo in a massive scale, they use the propagule. Yung propagule na diretso lang, yung bunga, tas diretso lang, diba? So, what we're doing, this is nursery raised seedlings. And of course, yung propagule, pwede mo lang yung kukunin at libre. If you would partner with DNR, they can even get you the propagules, and then there is this is libre. So where else sa amin they have to buy it for 60 pesos. So talagang merong ano, yung mga bata yun, these are college students, and I think the challenge there was to make them understand that this is a better way to plant mangroves, because it is scientifically proven that when you just plant the propagules, it would just have a 10 to 16% success rate, whereas um, yung nursery raised na seedlings would have 40 to 60% success rate. At nakikita nila yan. Nakikita nila ito. They have been doing mangrove planting before, pero pagbalik nila wala na. So wala na yung mga tinanim nila. So they have seen it, so it's evidence based. So um hindi sila madaling i-convince. Ang ano lang talaga is to get the trust and buy-ins of the community na magiging partner dito. Kaya ako linagyan siya ng social protection uh, layer to it, which is to kinonect ko sila sa project or sa program ng government, yung AKAP, 'di ba? Yung sa mga congressman na ganyan, na imbis na wawalis-walis lang sila dun sa may kalsada na wala namang dumi, na malinis naman na kalsada. Why not use their time to help us build the nursery, and they would have it 100% of the proceeds kanila talaga yon. So yes, those are the challenges that I have encountered dito sa start namin.
So,
Just siguro as a quick follow-up lang siguro CK, no?
sure.
Like, who is the hardest to convince usually?
Okay.
I'm just curious lang.
ang community ang community, especially that I at first I need to choose 10. May mga ano ng envy sa iba, and then may mga doubts that would this work, can they really get something out from it, so parang ganyan. So ang community kasi na they are used to na parang linilibre lang. Like before, pinapakuha lang sila because the kapitan said so, and they have to just follow what the kapitan said. Meron palang ganito. So, mas mahirap yung community to get the buy-ins of the community. Hindi lang ito buy-in one-off kasi eh. So, it's a sustained operation and production. So, yun ang mas challenging.
Okay, well, I wanted to also sort of double down on the thing about the planting challenges. So you initially mentioned the propagules, and this you basically mentioned that you taught these stakeholders about how to plant mangroves better. And was that sort of like part of your outlook for making this project successful, or was that something more of like what you also just discovered along the way when you were doing planting with your partners?
Um, Nawala ka. But it's okay. Okay. I really delve and research about what is the proper way of growing this mangroves. Nakikita mo naman na ang dami-dami nagma-mangrove growing. Bakit walang tumutubo? 'Di ba? So para bang there has to be something. Bakit there has to be something that was not done right. And yes, na ano ko nga yun, meron naman tayong meron akong mga mentor. I would like to give a shout out to Dr. Georgine Primavera. And ito po ang ating mangrove mother, mama ng mga mangrove conservationist dito sa Pilipinas. Meron na kasi silang mga manual. So, may mga reasons why uh, napakaliit ng success rate ng ating mangrove So it is planting in the wrong areas, planting the wrong kind of the wrong species of mangroves, the quality of your planting materials, and could be and also the involvement of the community na walang nagme-maintain. So the with the setup that I did, um, itong lahat na ito na-address, 'di ba? So, we did first awareness kung ano ba ang dapat itatanim sa klase ng lugar na ito. So, that's it. So, it solves problem number one. Problem number two is the right species at at the right area. So, naaano din yan kasi we would look at it, and then the students will realize iba pala itong species that are facing the the seaward. It's the seaward, diba? Iba pala ang species na nandito sa loob. So iba pa din ang mga species na andun na sa beach. So we're not just this is not just mangrove what we are establishing, ha. This is really coastal anong tawag niyan? Forest. So this is beach forest, which includes those na andun na mga sa buhangin, sa terrestrial na. Pero iba din yun ang mga species. So we have that. So that means we have solved problem number three. Problem number four would be the community. Paano ba magiging all in sila dito, and also to sustain the project. So ito yung the livelihood part of it, the livelihood concept to it. So yun, kaya it's still working right now, and we're hoping to, this is the pilot by the way, na ganito ang setup natin. And we are expanding to another barangay, hoping before the year ends, and we're looking at three more barangays in the near and next year, 3 to 5 more barangays next year, para kung ma-mainstream na namin ito sa financing ng aming local anong tawag niyan, city namin pala, with the help of the private entities or the private sector. So
Okay. Um, I guess we can move from earlier challenges to and earlier successes to, but maybe lessons learned from the people around you. Um, well, considering that there are most of and paano ba? Most of our communities dito sa Pilipinas ay talagang coastal, no? And I guess meron din mga issues na siguro lumabas because you've been working with these communities.
mm-mm.
What they Is there anything that you'd like to share, or are there anything you'd like to share about um how the communities are teaching you as well, no, on how to restore mangroves, or how to conserve mangroves, and how is it being um addressed also by the communities? No? I mean, I'm guessing, yeah, I mean, most of the inputs would probably come from you, but are there any lessons coming naman from the communities? That's
Yes,
really
of
the
course.
essence of the question.
Yes, of course. Especially the use or the benefits more of mangroves. I just discovered that during the Odette, most of their boats, yung boats na ano nila, hindi nila, dahil napakalakas ng udet, they did, some of the boats that what they did was to submerge it sa, instead na ilayo sa, 'di ba, dun sa dahikan, o yun, ewan ko kung Tagalog ba yung dahikan. So yun yung nasa area na magiging safe yung boats, 'di ba? So instead of doing that, they submerge it in some of the deeper parts of the mangrove areas, within the sea na, sea, and less, I mean, hindi talaga siya na damage. So that, and also there is, si Ate Tess, si isa kong partner dito, who she had been doing this na din in her own way, sa pagpuprotect ng ano natin. She did design, para siyang cage, or fish, pond na, and then line it up with mangroves to further stabilize nung rocks na ginagamit niya. So mga ganyan, I mean, I wouldn't have learned this without getting into the locals, without getting these information from the locals. So mas na-appreciate ko yon. And also they have some, like, ma'am, do you know nakakain pala ito? Or ito yung ginagamit namin, mga ganyan-ganyan. Hindi lang yan, pati pa papa-propagate, because there are species that I was not, like, familiar, as I was focusing on the terrestrial trees. So ito si Ate Tessie, I mean, she's been, growing na din eh. So oh, ito pala, this is how to propagate this particular species na para sa akin, mahirap. There's just a lot of things, that I learned from them, and that's why I would always bring them, in, um, in mga opportunities that they can share it themselves. So the local knowledge is something that I really have deep respect to, and I am also actively taking this down, taking note of this. So yan, yung mga, madami pa. So
Okay.
Now, Teza, you incredibly represent this idea of weaving solutions together. And for my intro, I mentioned that, with the mangrove restoration program that you did, or you're doing rather, you're educating children, you're also opening CSR opportunities for other entities, and also enabling livelihood for local communities. Now, um, when or at what point did you first recognize that all of these things, now that you mentioned that you're working with local communities, all of these things are actually, I would say, intertwined, and that they're co-beneficial?
um madali naman talaga siyang maintindihan once you understood really what the community needs. So ang ako, na-focus ako to understand what the environment needs, which is like, we need to care, we need to, really put more effort into conserving nature, diba? And then when you realize, bakit walang gumagawa nito? Bakit walang nagsiseryoso? Okay. Hindi, walang seryoso sa gumagawa nito. Pag tinatanong mo ang community, wala kaming makukuha, ma'am, eh. Parang, para bang, wala kaming nakukuha dito, ma'am, eh. Parang, so, para sa no, so you have to get co-benefits, which makes sense, because we would really have to eat, we would have to earn, money for our family, 'di ba? So, uh we would have to design mechanisms to make this work, to make this meet. Na of course yung appreciation ng community, of what the environment can do to them, of the ecosystem services, yung hindi lang talaga, alam naman nila na ang mga mangroves natin yun yung mga nursery ng mga ano natin, ng mga um, marine life natin or marine ecosystem. Alam din nila that it is protecting them, para lang talaga silang minsan walang choice because I have to earn. Parang ganyan ba? What if you can earn by protecting it? What if you can earn by enhancing it? So yun lang ang ano ko, there has to be someone who should uh, weave opportunities for them to be in this game. So yun talaga, nakikita mo yan pag nakakausap mo yung mga yung communities.
Mm. Speaking of communities, with the communities, there's yung mga challenges, no, na nabanggit nyo kanina. Medyo feeling ko nagle-layer-layer eh. No,
Exactly,
in a
that's
way.
true.
Pero because of na-recognize mo yung mga ganong challenges, how were you able to turn a challenge into a possibility?
um okay, for the child, I think it boils down to how you um build relationships. Kasi kailangan mo siyang, yung community, kailangan ma-assure sila that, you know, somehow their needs would be met. And may mga nami-meet na doon, yung nakakuha sila ng livelihood na ganito. Pero minsan kasi hindi nila nako-consider yun. They have to have money. It has to be monetized. Parang ganun ba? So, you'd have to build trust na um, makukonect mo sila sa mga tao na
Mm.
handang magbayad, which is like the CSR. So this is where networking comes in. This is where you have to build trust with the other end of the value chain, which would be your CSR partners, the schools, and the and in the students. Kaya inaano ko talaga yung mga estudyante. I know that you can save money from just getting propagules na ganito. But if you want more impact, which is better success rate at what you are planting, I mean, sa inyong mga project, and also helping the livelihoods, you need to buy the seedlings from the community. Talagang pinupush ko yon. I mean, kasi kung ano naman, hindi naman diretso naman sila dun magbayad. Wala, hindi naman sa akin, wala naman akong nakukuha na 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 ganun. Diretso naman yun sa community. But they
Mhm.
have to believe in the mission. They have to believe in what we are trying to achieve here, which is what you said, the co-benefits. So, yun.
That's really wonderful, Teza, and I can just imagine how difficult that could be, especially when you have to talk to locals who may differ in perspectives and in priorities in life and basically what they wanted as well. Because although maybe some of them might see that okay, this is what we need and this is also what the environment needs, maybe some of them don't really believe as much the others can, and so just being able to break through that challenge and scale from talking to communities and now talking to private organizations for CSR, as you mentioned, is really really incredible work. And so now this is actually a good segue to the next part of this conversation, which is growing from immediate solutions where you talk to communities and you enable them and you give them the tools and you also convince them that this is actually the way to go, and now talking to or working with private organizations to basically extend this opportunity to larger groups, coming from different perhaps industries or lines of businesses. Now, um, you you now that you're working with CSR, I mean with private organizations for CSR, uh, let's talk about how you built those partnerships. How do you now approach private organizations and schools to show them that mangrove restoration can fulfill their CSR requirements while creating impact?
Okay. Alam na ng mga schools. Okay. First of all, sa NSTP, ito talaga ay requirement nila. They need to have they need to be like engaged in social issues. They need to be engaged in solving social issues. This is the NSTP. So ano ba yan, National Service Training Program or something like that. So um, this is really their requirement. So I have just to tap into that. Sa mga high school din, we are also obliged by law to plant two trees, at least two trees before they can graduate. So, andyan na naman yan. Yung ano mo, di ba? So, sa mga schools, these are private schools pala ha, na mga partners ko, sila yung first ko. They have the obligation, yeah, and sa students yan, sa CSR din nila, they know that they have uh, uh, an obligation na dapat nilang gawin ito. Ang sa akin was to make them realize na yung mga ginagawa ninyo before, may impact ba? Nakikita nyo ba na yung mga tree planting na ginawa nyo dati, nakikita nyo bang tumutubo siya? So, uh, and then when they realize na, oh pala, hindi pala tumutubo, wala pala kaming ano, so why not get into this? Kasi may ano na kami, may system na kami to implement it, monitoring, evaluation eh. So, um, evidence based na yung mga ginagawa namin. Meron na kaming maipakita sa mga school arborita kasi nag-i-establish na ako ng school arborita ha. Hindi lang itong sa ano sa coastal. I also have established 8 school arboritas of native trees within our within our province. So nakikita na nila 'yan. So ayan, ayan na yung mabolo, tumutubo na. Yung sa mga tree planting na ginawa ninyo nung 20th anniversary ninyo, nakikita niyo bang tumutubo? So when they realize that, yeah, they would um it's easier to get a buy-in from them to na magiging impactful yung mga CSR nila na hindi sila pala nagsasayang. So, they are the ones seeking me out. Actually, hindi na ako yung hey, ano, we need ano. So sila na talaga they are the ones who are seeking me out, to be honest. So I am in the phase right now in which I am building more youth leaders kasi parang hindi ko na kayang mag-isa. So this is why uh, we are training more youth leaders to take in this responsibility na kayo na naman ang mag-workshop kasi hindi ko na kaya, wala na akong powers to myself, multiply myself. So andito na ako sa phase na yan because the private uh, partners and the schools have seen the need already, have recognized that need. So yun, actually hindi na siya challenging. In challenge, it's more the challenge is to how or how to address and how to serve all of those na gustong gawin ito. So yun.
Because of that, uh, well, we recognize that your pilot nursery has, expanded to
Yes.
Palawan, to Mindoro, and well, with these two different places, no, I'm guessing there's also um, the challenge of scaling up these what we like to call nature-based solutions. So, may gusto ba ka bang i-share about lessons on the scaling up of these kinds of solutions?
Well, for me, what we really need are intentional partners. Ang dami ang gusto at first. But we need to have that commitment, that consistency to bring it forward from having a one off tree growing to actually expanding it and seeing it grow. So we need to have yun na nga, intention. Intentional partners talaga yung gusto ko. And also to be able to um, ano, meron akong mainstream pala yung word na yun, mga
Mainstream.
UN term, ano, mainstream pala ito in their local plans. Kasi pag mainstream mo siya, naka-program na siya na kailangan talaga ito yung gawin nila. It's, kung one of the projects that I did with Mindoro was to mainstream itong biodiversity in their local plans. So, para meron tayong CLUP, di ba? Comprehensive Land Use Plan. Meron
Pro-
tayong FLUP, Forest Land Use Plan. Parang mga ganyan. Tapos meron tayong mga uh, financing, yung mga investment plan nila. Kailangan nakapaloob na yun doon. We have to help our local governments to design programs na ganito ang atake. Like weaving solutions together ang atake. Hindi lang na simple um, na tree growing or mangrove growing. Pero it has to, ano din, lahat ng sectors or lahat ng other issues within the society, which is like lack of livelihood, na ganun, lack of women empowerment, kailangan nating ma-mainstream yon dun sa local plans nila. So, para sa akin, yeah, uh, to penetrate our local government plans is the best way to do this. Yan yun sa local government yan, but the partners also, you you should be able to touch their hearts na and show them na ito ang mas impactful na way to do it, na hindi lang tayo nagsasayang sa yearly na tree growing natin na wala naman talagang impact. So, yun.
Yeah.
CK, I'll just link this, I guess, with our next question, no? Because we're now expanding it from your lessons in the pilot to the lessons in expansion to ano ba talaga ang vision, no? Ano ba the future? And um, I can imagine that you have this idea of truly regenerative Philippines na led by nature-based solutions, no? In our communities, in daily Filipino life, in short, no? But can we get your idea lang on what does it look like for you? Ano ba talaga yung kailangan nating gawin or kailangan nating baguhin para ma-realize yung vision na yan?
Para sa akin, it starts with your connection to nature. Kaya nga ako ngayong, I'm not that, it's not that I'm cynical with working with adults, but I more really focus on the children and the youth. Kasi parang pwede pang hilutin. Parang pang hilutin, diba? Sabi nga nila, the chaos that we see around is a reflection of the chaos that we have inside, diba? So yun yung dapat nating i-reconnect. So the reconnection with nature should start from within. So how I see a regenerative future from now is when we don't need to protect nature because everybody is doing it. Everybody knows that they're part of it, and if you are if you are killing it, then you're killing yourself. Parang ganyan ba? And that we are part of a whole. And yun yung nakikita ko na uh, ma- mas nagiging stronger yung connection natin with nature. We would be good parents. We would be good. We I mean the children that we have would be good adults, and also care for nature. Um, and yun yung gusto kong makita in the future. So that is why I focus on educating the youth and educating mothers and parents, dahil hindi ko alam baka maabutan ko pa, 'di ba? To have this kind of society in which like everyone is just caring for nature because they know that they are part of it. So, yun.
I really love what you said, and I think what you said there in your last sentences is really, I think, really hits home because what if we see a world where we don't need to actively protect nature because it's already part of life, part of like the way of life.
Mm-mm.
It's ingrained with the things that we do on a day-to-day basis, even with the little things, even with the way that we consume, the way that we eat, sleep, or just really work, on a day-to-day basis. What if it's just that? And it's a really good vision to have. And I also take note what you mentioned about the chaos that we see is also the chaos that we have inside. I mean, that is definitely a huge challenge to address, something that we can all, but not impossible to address because we have each other's backs anyway, and we can inspire each other and essentially be each other's, I would say, accountability buddy. Like, hey, perhaps we can do something a little bit better than what we're already doing, and that can amount to substantial challenges. And so, I mean, this conversation has been really, flowing. And thank you very much for this. Now let's end this in a in a perhaps in a question that or maybe something that you can impart with our listeners and to anybody who might be interested in doing what you do and also be part of the things that you're doing in some shape or form. Maybe not mangrove restoration, basically, but maybe protecting nature in general. Now, since you've been championing weaving solutions together, if you could leave our listeners with one invitation, what's one way that they could start that? What can they do with their own communities, with whatever they have? What would you ask them to do?
Yeah. Okay. For me, you don't really need to make it grand, big project, and then like perfect plan before you start. I started by picking native trees and learning what are the native trees in my surrounding, and then picking the seeds, germinating them myself and using them in my own native tree growing. Doon ako nagsa-start eh. So, um, for me, you just need to listen and to learn more about your environment, of your local ecosystem. There is always wisdom that they are sharing to you, to your children, to the youth. Just listen around and listen. Nature is the best teacher. So, um, there is wisdom, in the land. And when you talk to the communities, and when you also uh, nag-o-observe ka sa communities, you would learn also ano yung mga gaps, ano yung mga kailangan, 'di ba? So, um, I would always say that regeneration, it doesn't start with much resources. It starts with the it weaving or building relationships again So it starts with building relationship with the people, your community. It starts with building relationship with nature. So my invitation is to weave connections, weave connections before solutions, because when we begin to see ourselves as part of the a living one living system and one living community, then I think that the solution would naturally just begin to weave together. Parang nakikita mo yon when you have united for the same for one purpose. So um, let's hopefully heal our connections with ourselves and of and connections with nature as well and our community, and I'm sure that solutions will come along the way.
Mm. Well said.
Well, I couldn't have said it any better. Thank you. that
uh,
was that was really
Naiiyak ako, oh
powerful.
my God.
Alright, that was really powerful, Tessa. And I think I haven't heard something like that in a long while. Heal our connection with
Yes.
ourselves, with the nature, and with the communities. Um, I don't know. I mean, that was really really inspiring, Tessa. And I hope that our listeners take all of these insights home and perhaps think if they're already thinking about doing something, then maybe this could be the initiator, or maybe if they're looking for something a little bit new, then maybe they can also consider doing something like this or something related to protecting nature. Well,
Yes.
um,
Pwede ba akong mag-plug
of
ng
course, yes,
okay.
yes, please.
So
I mean,
Yes,
this
please.
we can possibly do by having you here. So,
yes.
I mean,
Okay.
the floor is yours.
Yes, sa November, ang November kasi ang dami nangyayari. Meron tayong Climate Consciousness Week, meron tayong, ano pa yan, Youth and Climate Action Week. Madami yan na tungkol sa nature. Clean air pa pala, okay. Ngayong 19 to 20, it starts from 19 until the end of of November. Meron tayong Climate Consciousness Week. Meron din tayong awarding ng Philippine Resilience Award. Meron tayong new batch of awardees this year for women who are doing for women resilience builders. So, meron tayong pagbibigyan ng parangal ng mga babae dito sa Pilipinas. And I would really, even though wala na yung, I mean, close na yung nomination, every year yan ginagawa. So if you know, people, women, particular women and the youth who are weaving solutions for resilience, inominate natin sila in the future. Yun, and yun na nga, yun lang ang ipla-plug ko sa mga mangyayari this November.
Appreciate you for plugging, Teza, and
Yes.
I do hope that we possibly get more participants in those opportunities. Mean another individual in any of these types of programs is always really a huge boost for the collective. So yes, I mean, we're looking forward to seeing you succeed in these initiatives in November, and also in your bigger initiatives in your mangrove restoration program and other programs that you're also involved in. So once again, Tessa, thank you very much for joining us in this little studio. It's been a blast. The conversation was really flowing, as I mentioned earlier, and we do hope to catch you very soon.
Yes.
Thank you, Tessa.
Yes, salamat sa inyo.
Great to have
Salamat
been with
CA,
you today.
salamat Jonas, and salamat sa Sustainer Rumble. Meron palang ganito, hindi ko alam. And sa lahat ng mga nakikinig and nanonood, thank you so much, and may we all do our share in this collective.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tessa. And yes, appreciate you. Okay.
Sure.
Well, Jonas, that was a that was a really good conversation, isn't it?
Very, very, very refreshing. Also, kind of bolsters the case for not just on technological solutions, but also nature-based solutions. Something that the Philippines is looking at, but not as well understood. No.
Mhm. Correct. Yeah. I mean, you know me. I'm from the tech sector, and so usually what I do is a bit more scholarly and a bit more technical. So hearing all
Mm,
of these insights and hearing Tessa's story about how she started her initiative is really really refreshing, as you already mentioned. I I I personally want to be more involved in these kinds of challenge. I mean programs because um, it's another way to also engage with the local communities, locals who truly understand what's really going on the ground and can provide really insightful wisdom or advice or anything that they've been experiencing firsthand. So, I think much to Teza's work and to also to her credit, she has been a really good activator. I think that really exudes from the conversation that we just had with her. That she's been able to enable all of these individuals from these local communities and get their buy-in and basically let them come together and work in these initiatives so that all of them can also reap the benefits, not only for themselves but also for their families, for their neighbors, and also even for the nature and the environment that they live in, right?
yeah. And it really starts with the one who's leading. Tessa is
Correct.
one such example. If she can be the influence for this kind of uh, initiative or this kind of activity, more Filipinos would have, I guess, listened to people like her, and then do more things, to really help the community rather than just be on the sidelines and wait for whatever comes to them. No, her sense of proactiveness is really a very good example for those who want to venture into regeneration and then in nature-based solutions as one way to solve the community issues on climate.
Correct, and that's also regardless of age, of sex, gender. Actually, she already mentioned the women led. Her
Women-led,
initiative
yeah.
is being women led. So, how about we get more people from across, the spectrum, from across classifications or communities, say those underrepresented, and maybe I would say underprivileged, to be part of this and also find their own voice, find their own I would say, capability to lead something.
Hmm.
They may not exactly be the founder of something much like Teza, but maybe at least do something that she does, regardless of whatever roles they play. Because any role in this scenario in nurturing our nature and also protecting it is very very important, especially these days. Okay. Well, folks, our dear listeners, thank you very much for hanging out with us. Now, before we officially let you go, I have a few more information to share with you, and you can see on your screen a list of events that's actually happening in Alter Cop 30 Philippines. So if you haven't registered already, I do recommend for you to check it out because the ticketing is already live. You can find it on www.altercop.com/Philippines /ph dash ticketing, if I remember correctly. And you can actually see a plethora of activities happening on the 26th to 28th of November, this 2025. Actually, last November 8th, that was, from the time of this recording, that was a few days ago, we had a really good engagement with business leaders in seeing how climate hazards affect their business and how their business also exacerbates climate impacts and how they can also protect themselves from it. And so it's just really, really a really good experience and engagement with them because, you know, we usually engage with. sustainability advocates and nature advocates, environmental advocates for these types of events, and now we have people from the profit sector, seeing how this can actually affect their livelihood as well, and sort of go through that simulation of how climate hazards start from natural occurrences and now down to on ground impacts, and that was really a refreshing um, experience as well. Now, speaking of the 26th to 28th of November, so these are the main stages for the Ultra Cup 30 Philippines happening at the Asian Institute of Management, or AIM. That's in Makati if you aren't very familiar. And on November 26th, we'll be having or covering health, climate action, and future generations. That's for an entire day starting at 9 a.m. until 5:30 p.m. So we actually have Jonas here who's leading the greenhouse gas accounting masterclass from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Jonas, could you at least give us a very, very high level detail of what they should be expecting from the GHG accounting workshop?
Basically, just to walk through, how do you measure your carbon emissions and see if we can do something about it, from identification all the way to the reporting. So it's not just counting that we're going to focus on. It's really from the start to hopefully the finish and go back to the start again. I mean, yeah, and see, what can you do, or what can your organization do to hopefully find solutions, no, to carbon intensive uh, related issues.
Wonderful. And as mentioned, since this day will cover health, climate action, and future generations, so much of our content are focused on essentially enabling youth leaders to take part in addressing climate and also in building regenerative health systems. When you say regenerative health systems, it's essentially building health systems that are supposed to be nature positive and resilient as well. So health systems, these are involving public health, physicians, everybody in the ecosystem, part of basically the public health, be involved and essentially see how we can revamp or improve that system to be more resilient against a lot of like the social and environmental hazards that we're facing. So we also have climate scenario analysis and risk management, another workshop led by Jonas on the day of. So that's from 1:30 to 4:30 p.m., 3 hours of workshop. Jonas, again, high level details, please, of what we can expect from this workshop.
Actually, we're going to focus on how things will look like for organizations in terms of how does the structure look like in your organization in addressing climate. How do you create those strategies that includes climate scenario analysis, and then identify, I guess, risks and opportunities related to climate, and then eventually how do you measure your impacts. uh, that's really it in a nutshell.
Wonderful. Now, on November 27th, we're covering, or 28th, rather. No, sorry, 27th. I'm getting confused now. Let me just scroll it up a bit. And now here, okay, on your right side, if I can, zoom it further. Now here, on the right side, you can see the main stage happening still at AIM. So that's November 27th. We'll be covering nourishing people and planet. So it's more nature, more environmental, much like Tessa's what Tessa is doing. Basically covering climate transition, just transition, climate justice, climate action, and also bridging leadership, putting all the stakeholders into one room and get them to work together for a positive environmental future for all of us. And also, we'll be covering two master classes on the afternoon of the 27th. That's how to land a job in Climate, a Green Jobs workshop by Make Sense, delivered by Mint Marquez, and also to be followed by a Make Sense Imagine Cities in 2050 workshop, also by her. and also by Make Sense. So, I mean, a lot to a lot to catch. So we really look forward to having you all there, and also on November 28th, our last day, the third day of the Autocop 30 Philippines main stage is financing a net positive future and scaling impact. This is where we talk about I mean not only climate financing but generally sustainable financing or sustainable finance across key areas such as developing NDCs and also leadership, Ridge to Reef, also with Mad Travel, make it Mad Earth rather make a difference, Mad Earth, and sustainable finance also in the afternoon by SAP, and we also have two master classes on the day of. One in the morning, that's 10 to 11:30, bridging leadership again, and 2 to 4 p.m. case writing for net positive business, which essentially covers how you can conceptualize a business that's regenerative, and that's also generating positive outcomes uh, for the people and also for the environment, and also a business that thrives as well economically. So yes, that's everything that's happening this November for AltaCop 30 Philippines. This is a lot to watch out for, and we really do look forward to seeing you there. By the way, you can get day passes or online passes at no cost to you, so it's really a huge steal because um, you don't have to pay for anything, and yet you get a lot of these opportunities which you can hardly get from anywhere else. And also the master classes are under 700 pesos, so that's also a total steal. I mean, yeah, oh, what good day can you find all of these Filipino experts teaching you about these important lessons at such a price, right? So, I mean, if whether I am someone who's already deep into the sustainability scene or maybe uh, just starting out, and I want to learn something new, uh, all of these are very um, helpful in my development as a professional. So, yes, please grab the opportunity. Um, can't say this is really once in a lifetime because we can develop all of these information, I mean platforms, further in the years to come, but this is definitely a really good opportunity to get our feet wet in, or wet on rather. All right, well, I mean, thank you very much for listening. That was such a long spiel, but I think a very very fruitful one and very productive one as well. We do hope to catch you in future episodes of this Alter Cop 30 Philippines miniseries. Again, my name is Siki Asinas, and together with me is Jonas. Meridium Doom. We're both from Sustainer Rumble supporting Alter Cop 30 Philippines. And have a good rest of your day.
Have a good rest of your day,